Grab onto your hats, my furry friends. It's time to talk about Beastars Season 2. It's now on Netflix. It's an original series on Netflix, but it's actually already been airing in Japan. Netflix bought the rights to it. So, this is a non-spoiler review. We're going to talk about all things furry. Let's jump into it. So at the end of the first season, we still had not found out who Ren's murderer was, and that's basically going to be the arc for the second season. The second season is the completion of the Ren murder storyline. At the same time, we have the Legoshi, Haru, and Lewis storylines kind of doing their own thing. We really do focus more on Legoshi and Lewis. You know, we obviously have the mafia storyline in the black market. That's a big part of this series, and Legoshi under the tutelage of our panda in the dark market. And so we have that storyline, and it really does take a few episodes before the arc really kicks into gear. I think it was like the episode 5 or 6 of the second season before the arc even really starts to go, oh, okay, we're finally getting into some of the answers that we were looking for, which is great because it does some world building. But if you go into it and you're thinking to yourself, wait, why aren't we getting any continuation? Why is this so separate or diverted from the storylines of the first season? It's basically they will building again, getting you into what's happening, kind of establishing what's happening with our characters, Legoshi, Haru, Lewis, and a few other side characters that we've had from season 1, and then it establishes what happens with our Tem murderer. That becomes the main focus of the second season, which is great because season 1 and now season 2 are a contained story. It really does wrap things up, but the focus of it is always been relationship, and each play a really integral part, so much so that their backstories, their character arcs are very interesting to watch because you know, we already felt for them. You already probably have decided who you really enjoyed as a character or whose relationship you wanted to be fleshed out more. But it really does feel like they've spent a lot of time building up our two characters. So when we see them together again, there's a lot of weight in history there. So that was great storytelling. I feel like that's been transposed over to from manga to animation really well. We know there's more volumes of this anime, so potentially we will be getting a third season, especially based on its popularity. I love the opening score. You can't really talk about Beastars without talking about the opening or the end, the score, the soundtrack, the theme for the new season. I think it's as good as the first one. It's one of those that you know when you see memes of people saying don't you dare skip over it. It seems to be one of those. Again, I would say watching the original language if you can. The dubbing is fine. This is often what Netflix waits for, which is why it's always like a few weeks later than the original air date, because they do the dubbing and it takes them some time to work on it. It's okay, but I feel like you get those subtle nuances in the acting that you often miss out in the dubbing. The animation is also vibrant and very similar to the first one. I do feel like there's been given more budget to this season. It just feels like there's more frames when there is action. It's very cool to watch. Every time there is an action point in this series, there has been a bunch of stories or character development to make the action really worth it's being showcased on screen. And so it's not about the action, the story, it's about the daily lives of these characters, especially Legoshi, trying to deal with what he is, trying to become stronger but not have to rely on meat. Our other character trying to become stronger but almost go against his own self nature. Their two characters are a juxtaposition almost of each other, which is a very interesting take to go on and go on this journey with them too. I almost at the end of the season like them as much as each other. I enjoyed their characters for the different reasons that they were showcasing, but you really kind of wanted them to be together. At the same time, it's, again, as anime usually is, it's really sad. There's a Lewis storyline with the mafia characters that I'm not going to talk about that I just felt was really heartbreaking, and they really endear all the characters to you. So although a lot of the characters that you see that are side characters don't get much time to be fleshed out and you want to know much more about them, there's enough given there for you to be really invested with those characters and the journey that they're going on. The school, you see some things going on with Haru. which I think is which is what the writers were going for. They're just dipping in and out of that as Legoshi and Lewis's storyline are in and out and over the place. So when we get into the Thames storyline, you are invested. It's again one of those things like when you see your bad guy, they don't just go he's the generic bad guy because, or she's the generic bad guy because it's a thing that they're using as the MacGuffin of the storyline from season one. But once we get to that character, they start fleshing out and giving you ideas and reasons why. It's always about nature of the animal, which I found that's a really interesting dynamic to have in an anime. So I thoroughly enjoyed this. I'm going to give it an A. Let me know in the comments below, are you looking forward to season 3? We won't have to wait as long for season 3 apparently. It's a fairly well wrapped up anime storyline, which is nice because we don't often get those. A lot of these anime series leave us hanging. Thanks so much for watching this, but most of all, until next time, remember, live long and Tuesday.